Good afternoon, and welcome to Deaf Child Discord. We are on 14 right now. So, um, today's topic is about access in PR, which is interesting to me because the whole point of PR is access. And PR can stand for public relations or press release. And a press release is a part of public relations. A press release is whenever you write a document and you put it out there and you send it. You can do different things with it. You can send it to multiple agencies, to a specific one, or you can just literally disseminate it yourself in any form. But it's just about putting information out there with the idea of giving people permission to go and write about it themselves if they'd like. And public relations are the strategies you use to decide what to do with that press release or any other type of method of communication that impacts how your company is perceived or interacts with other people. And I think it's really important to consider access in PR because of disparity. And when you think about the history behind the way companies are built in the United States, at least, there's an inequity in the access available to people based on the income disparity, based on connections, education, and opportunities available. Because a lot of people they see PR, but it's like this intangible idea. They don't know how to grasp it for themselves, and it's pretty easy. Like the whole concept of getting your access in PR, and you can do this all for free yourself. If you have your own, it can be any platform you want. Like the New Orleans Fire Department literally will post, like official press releases on their Facebook, and that will be how the local news will write about things that the fire department talks about, besides what else they can get there and document for and stuff. But yeah, so even if you don't have a website, I think a website or having some form of documentation there is the best place to do it in terms of being able to connect it to you organically. But even Facebook works, depending on your goals. So it's more of like, are you trying to grow your brand and bring this back to sales? Then I would try and connect your press release to your point of sales in a way, and that can be the benefit of putting a press release on your site. Versus, if you don't have, if there are no sales connected to your press releases, like with the fire department, it's just purely public service announcement, and why not put that shit on Facebook? It's going to be the best way for it to get shared and perhaps gain visibility. Now, what you do with a press release, ideally, is press syndication, is when you pay to send it to agencies, and those news agencies will then distribute that press release for you for the time period that you pay to distribute it. And you don't necessarily get permanent placements guaranteed, but the hope is you get a permanent placement, and you still get that visibility in the time period it was paid for, which is the benefit of doing it. And it often does lead to at least a handful of long-term backlinks that come back to you. So it can be pretty good. Like the best way when you can't afford to do a nicer form of PR, which was often known as an advertorial, which is whenever you're able to pay for your placement in a publication and it looks just like any other article organically written would be. And it's called an advertorial, and yeah, like that is an option, but they're a bit more expensive. And by a bit, I mean a lot. They're a lot more expensive typically than a press release, but that can be the way to really control the full aspect and have a wide placement that looks organic, I mean, it will say in at least small writing that it is a sponsored or some type of paid posting, but it looks more like the internal content versus whenever you're thinking of like with press releases. You can also pay magazines, for example, for ad placements, and those would be a little bit different because everybody has their own way of doing ad placements. And the difference between an advertorial and ad placement is advertorial get essentially a whole article about you versus an ad placement. It's essentially an ad, like, so it'll be a specific size, and I don't know why it is square, but it could be a square. You'll be a specific size, and you'll usually choose a specific message. A lot of people choose to use ads for bottom funnel messages, and I think top of funnel would be better. So bottom funnel is whenever you're saying, hey, buy my shit. And the thing about bottom funnel message is if someone is a stranger and they don't know who the fuck you are, you're not going to get as much conversion rate versus if you send a top of funnel message just purely educating who you are or trying to grab attention, something like that, and then you're more likely to get more people who don't know you to come follow through. And that's the whole point of a press release, is to reach new people. Otherwise, you'd be able to organically tell the people who are already interacting with you. So yeah. So the access and PR, knowing this information and understanding these concepts of different ways to do PR, I think is a way to create more access and PR, because a lot of the issue is people just don't understand what they're purchasing when they purchase it. And so sometimes it can just be a simple error of miscommunication because you don't know someone doesn't know something if they don't know something. So sometimes a marketing agency may not know they need to explain something to you because they think that you know what you want. And so you're like, I want this. And they're like, okay, cool, let's get that for you. Because in their mind, they're just giving you what you want. But then sometimes it's like people think they want something about PR, but that's not actually what's best for them. But because that's what they ordered, that's what they got, and it can actually hurt them. And so I think if you are unsure about different elements, or if you know there's just any margin for risk there, just double check with your agency about what their concerns would be with different types of PR placements and how they would go about it, so that way you're making sure that you're ordering the right one that's best aligned for your goals. And I think that's the best way to create a little bit more equitable access in PR. And I think marketing agencies, a lot of us do a pretty good job of trying our best to explain PR to people in a way that we hope, you know, is going to best serve their needs. But I do see a good bit of marketing agencies that I do wish would better clarify some of the information whenever they'll say things like, hey, if you do press syndication, buy press syndication, we're going to guarantee that you get this amount of sales. And you just cannot guarantee that. You can do some research and point to some statistics involving conversion rate lift, because PR does lift conversion rates, which then increases sales, but you can't guarantee it. And you really have to plan, you know, the right way and make sure that the guest has the right funnel in place to connect a press release to a sales funnel too. Because I've had clients that, you know, they wanted to do a press release, they didn't even have a way to connect that press release to a purchase, you know, to a store, any type of storefront or sales methodology, because they're, you know, musicians, and so what they primarily focus on is performing, and they do have merch, but not an online store, which I'm but so first off, I need to get them an online store, but because they want to do the press release now, and we're not, and I need to balance what I want for the guests, with what they're asking me for, then I'm going to give them the strategies I would give them on that press release. And so, you know, there's just about balancing what people want with what is going to ultimately give them the most return on their investment. And I think, you know, like I just said, for better access in PR, consider those organic ways. You can do your press syndication yourself on your own platforms if you're not at a place where you can afford to spend money on any type of PR placements. Because PR is a part of marketing. It's not the entire concept of marketing, but it is part of your marketing budget, and your entire marketing budget should only be 15 to 20% of your revenue. So factoring all of that in is going to help you make better decisions and gain more access with the steps you take in PR. And thank you for your time today.